In today's video, we're going to be going over hide and seek or hide and sneak and how it will shake up the metagame for the Pokemon TCG. So we're going to be going over my card choices and my rationale behind the deck. So I'll catch you guys very shortly. How's it going, guys? This is Platinum Point, and I'm here to bring you guys another deck profile. This one is going to be on my hide and sneak deck. That is going to be legal once Pitch Black becomes fully released. So I decided, since I managed to pick up the deck during the pre-release and I managed to pretty much get everything I needed for the deck, I decided, you know what, I wanted to showcase what this deck can do and give you guys some ideas on how you can update the deck and actually try it out. So like in my initial playing with this deck, I actually really like how it flows. It kind of reminds me of Lost March, as well as not Lost March, Night March and Lost Zone, the Lost Box, because your whole focus gets kind of is basically getting the hide and seek mechanic to go offline. So in order to do that for this deck, our goal is to put at least a minimum of 4 or more Pokemon with the ability hide and sneak into the discard pile, so that our Pokemon Dhelmise, which can attack for 170 for just 1 psychic energy. So I actually really like this deck. I saw it popping up in Japan for quite a while, and I was looking at their lists. And this is a list that I put together based off of various Japanese deck lists of this specific variant. So before we get onto it, please make sure you subscribe and hit the like button and click the notification bell if you haven't subscribed. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I want to showcase probably the first live first live English hide and sneak deck profile. So we're gonna start off with the deck, shall we? So for the Pokemon, we're running a fat count. I think it's about 24. So we're running 4 Dhelmise. So this is the main attacker of the deck. So how this Pokemon attacks is for 1 psychic energy, Vengeful Anchor. If you have 4 or more Pokemon with the hide and sneak ability in the discard pile, this attack does 140 more. So base damage is 30, and then when you put a single psychic energy onto it, and you have the 4 hide and seek, it's an easy 170, and it's a 1 prize swinger, one prize attacker that allows you to easily hit KO most EXs in the game. And when they trade with you, they're only trading 1 prize, which is really nice. And it hits very heavy for just being a 1 prize attacker. One of the reasons why Dhelmise is such a strong deck, and it's actually been doing pretty well on the Asia side. So we're playing 4. I'll put it right there so you guys can see. Next, for the hide and sneak engine, so we play 4 copies of the Shuppet, which evolves into 3 copies of the Banette. So Banette is also a good early game attacker, especially if we go first to set up our board, because thanks to hide and sneak, it prevents all effects onto your opponent's attack. It basically prevents all of your opponent's attacks and abilities to be done onto this Pokemon. If I remember correctly, that's what hide and sneak is. We say prevent all effects of your. Okay, so the only thing that so it basically negates damage counter placement. It also negates basically things like Phantom Dive, the Mortar Shuriken from Greninja, as well as Monkey Dory's ability to fling damage off of Adrenabrain. So you can leave this at the bench early game to start. Essentially, you're going to be using this as your main flutter, since if you open this going first, this and another Pokemon, you're going to basically attach your telepathic energy either onto the Dhelmise or the Shuppet, then to bring out all your other psychic Pokemon in the deck, your psychic basics. And the reason why we want the Shuppet early game is because of Bayonet's attack, which is Puppet Pull. For a single psychic energy, it does 80 damage, and then you can search your deck for any card and then shuffle your deck. So you get to, like, it's basically quick search, but it's in attack form, so it does 80 damage. And you mainly need the Bayonet on board for early game. After that, you're just discarding. Like, your goal is to discard all these hide and sneak Pokemon so that your Dhelmise can just swing in and hit hard. So we play a 4-3 line of the Shuppet line. We also play a 2-1 line of the Poltergeist and Sinistra line. So what the Poltergeist does is it allows you for one colorless energy, place one damage Pokemon onto the active, which is okay. You just basically playing this for the numbers to easily proc off the Vengeful Anchor. But there are some situations you could play the Poltergeist into Sinistra. The benefit of the Poltergeist is it's a free retreater, which is really nice. And then for Sinistra, it does have the attack Matcha Spin. And so basically, if you have 6 or more Pokemon that have Hide and Sneak as the ability in the discard pile, you get to place 4 damage counters on all Pokemon, which is really nice. But in an era where we see things like Patrat and Battle Cage, there are some situations you can play this, but in most cases, you're just going to be discarding it in most matchups because it's just here for the number, just to meet your numbers for the Dhelmise. And then, so continue on with the Pokemon, we play a utility line of 3 Dunsparce and 2 to Dunsparce. Pretty, I'm usually used to playing a 2-2 line, but I've been seeing Japan play a 3-2, and I see value in it because if you bench more than one copy of the Dunsparce and you're constantly drawing through your deck, because this deck does a lot of drawing, you can actually go through your deck very quickly. And also there's always going to be a possibility one of the Dunsparces or one of the Dunsparces are going to get benched. Are going to get prized. So I like the 3-2 ratio. It's been nice in testing. And then we play 1 Fez, 1 Clefairy. Clefairy is here because you can give all your psychic Pokemons the ability to hit Dragon for weakness easily, and it's also a secondary attacker that you can play into. We also play 1 Blood Moon Ursaluna because I've been seeing it in a lot of lists, and I'm not sure. I'm debating cutting it, but I'm keeping it in here because there are some situations where especially if your opponent is able to equalize the prize trade with you, and you just need to knock, like if they're ahead of you by 1 prize, like for example, you only need 2 prizes to take. They have the Fez, they have a Clefairy or a Meowth present. You can play the Blood Moon, boss up that Pokemon, and knock it out if they've taken more prizes than you. So that, and then you could just close the game easily. That's the only reason I think you would play the Ursaluna. And then since we're playing a Ursaluna and high retreat basics, we're playing 1 Latias EX. It's been really good in testing because now I don't have to worry about like Tekken and Air Balloon, and Latias just does a really good job at making sure that I can have flexibility and retreating in and out of the board. So, and then lastly for our Pokemon, I know some builds play the Flutter Mane, but I like to play a copy of Tatsugiri because being able to search for your supporters is really important with this deck because you're clutching on your supporters in order to thin your deck out really easily, so that way all you're doing is just getting resources to either gust up your opponent's Pokemon for easy knockouts or recurring your Dhelmises since they can get easily one-hit KO'd by a decent attacker. So overall, with this Pokemon line, I'm very much satisfied with it, but I am going to be testing and moving around ratios just to see if I can get the optimal numbers that I'm looking for. So that's it for the Pokemon. We're playing about 24, which is a pretty steep number. Next, for the supporters, we're playing 4 Lily's Determination, pretty standard. In this build, I'm actually playing 4 Boss's Orders because Boss's Orders is such an important card in this deck because it allows you to get early KOs really easily, and also with the fact that Dhelmise is only going to be hitting for at most 170, unless you're hitting for weakness. This allows you have to 2-shot KO, and some of the ways that people prevent the 2-shot KOs is switching. So this allows you to drag it back after you hit it once and then just go for the KO, especially on 2 prize attackers or even the megas, because the difference between a 2 and a 3 prize KO helps you like win the game faster. So like Boss's Orders here just to help guarantee that we win the game as fast as possible, and then to help further like increase the likelihood that we meet the minimum 4 hide and sneak Pokemon, we play 3 copies of Gwyn. So for those who this is a new card from Pitch Black, which has the effect discard 2 Pokemon that don't have rule box from your hand, and then you can draw 3 cards for each card discarded. And you don't have to discard 2, you can discard 1, you can discard but in order to get like the best plussing, I think discard 2 is just optimal. There will be periods where you have to discard 1 to draw 3, which is fine, but if you want to get full maximum value, you want to discard 2. Hence why you're playing a lot of hide and sneak Pokemon into the deck, so that way you increase the likelihood of having 2 in your hand, so that way you can just discard it off the Gwyn or off the Prism Tower. So we play 3 just so we can also increase the likelihood of having it in our hand, because it's sometimes better than playing Lily's Determination. And in order to help like search out our stadium, which is Prism Tower, I play 1 copy of Colress's Tenacity, because it allows you to search not only the Prism Tower but the telepathic energy, so it allows you to just just set up your board, which is really nice. And then continuing with the items now, we play 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Pokepad, 2 Buddy Buddy Poffin. We're only playing 2 because our main target for Buddy Buddy Poffin is just the Dunsparce and maybe and 1 Shuppet. And since we can search that out very easily with this in this deck because of telepathic energy, you can cut this down to 2. Next, we play 3 Night Stretcher. Night Stretcher is such an important card in this deck because being able to you got to be able to recur the Dhelmise, especially when hit KO it, because the Dhelmise is what's going to help you get ahead in the prize trades, especially when you're going up against 2 prize attackers that are easily addressed with by Dhelmise, because they're only going to be losing 1 prize, and the only way they can equalize is if they gust up the Latios in order to get a cheeky 2 prize, and then you can just recur it back just in case if you need the Latios, and then just go for game. So again, the goal with this deck is you want to rush the game, go for game really quickly with this deck, because it cannot handle long dragged out battles because of how quickly it thins through the deck. So we want to be able to just quickly win the game, and because of that, we only play 1 form of hand disruption, which is 1 copy of Special Red Card. And then for the stadiums, we play 3 Prism Tower, because the ability to discard 2 cards to draw 1 is really nice, especially when you're trying to get the 4 or more hide and sneak Pokemon onto the discard pile, which is really necessary for this deck. So we play 3 so we can see it more often. And then for the energies, we play 4 Telepathic Energy, which is if it's attached to a Psychic Pokemon, you get to bench 2 more from the deck, basic Psychic Pokemon. So so you're basically using this to flood the board with Dhelmises, and then using Dhelmise to just swing for game. Next, we play 2 Psychic Energy, and then our A-Spec of choice is 1 Legacy Energy. I've been testing Legacy Energy, and it's been really freaking nice, especially when you attach this onto the Dhelmise, so when they knock it out, they take 0 prize. That's a funny play you can do. And then if you attach it to the Lily's Clefairy, they're only taking 1 prize. It's essentially like playing Lily's Pearl, but in energy form, which is really nice. So I really like how this deck just flows. It's a really fun deck. I don't think it's going to be like the best deck, because decks like Enzora can like answer it really easily thanks to Darmanitan. But I think this deck has so much potential only because it's a one prizer deck that can be built. If you have every staple, this deck is like the only thing that's gonna like is this line. Like this line is like you can easily get that under like $10. You only need this line and then maybe 2 or 3 Gwen. And then the rest of the deck, if you already have everything, like this deck can be built from one pre-release kit. Like that's how I built mine. It's like I basically picked it off of people who had who went in hard at the pre-release, and those that just had extras, because you're gonna get multiple copies of everything. So people were like just sharing around the extra copies, and I have to thank the people for those who did trades with me over there at the pre-release to help me put together the hide and sneak deck. I want to thank you guys, because that helped me kind of just get a head start in actually practicing and learning how to play this deck. Because yeah, you can play it online, but I prefer like having it like the cards physically on your hand instead of just using proxies. I'm that type of person. So I hope you guys like this video. We're gonna be doing an update on my Greninja list in the near future. I will be doing so hopefully once I hit 1,000 subscribers and once my work schedule kind of stabilizes, I will be doing live streams where I play through these decks and showcase showcase to you guys my playtest sessions with this deck, because I really just enjoy this deck. The next video that I'm preparing for, I'm still waiting for the cards to come in, so it might take a while. But one of the things that I want to do a video on is a One Piece deck profile on one of my new favorite decks, which is Black Yamato. Yamato now comes in black, so I might go through a One Piece deck profile if you guys would like to see that. But for those who just want to learn Pokemon, please continue watching my Pokemon videos. If you guys want to see more competitive trading card videos and learning like how each of those card games can help you get better at the other, please let me know. Please leave that in the comment section below, and I hope to catch you guys in the near future. Once again, this is Platinum Point. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, crack that like button, and don't forget to stay on point, guys. Peace out.